Hi friend, my name is Marcus Lapp. I am a former stutterer, a speech coach, and founder of SpeakerMindMethod.com. And if you've been following my channel for any length of time, then you probably have heard me talk about what I call the hammer tool. Now, if you don't know what the hammer tool is, it's very simple. It's simply a technique where you stop and you restart the phrase instead of pushing through the block, right? So instead of doing that, or worse, where you really get stuck on that block, you learn the skill of stopping yourself and restarting the phrase in some way. There's a lot of variation, but that's the gist of the technique. Now, what I want to show you today is a subtype, we could call it, a subtype of the hammer tool. And I'm going to call this the HammerLink Tool. This is a tool that I've been introducing to my clients, and I've been experimenting with it, and it's been starting to show some positive results with the clients that I've been starting to workshop this tool with. And so I thought, why not share this with everyone here on YouTube? So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so what is the HammerLink tool? Let's talk about it. So the HammerLink tool you could think of as a combination of two tools that you may have heard of before. One is obviously the hammer tool that I just talked about, and the other is you may have heard of the tool of word linking, as some might call it, or trying to, glue the words together or squish the words together. Now, here's a very practical example of what it might look like to use this HammerLink tool. So if I walk into a coffee shop and I want to order a coffee, if the word coffee is flashing a light bulb in my brain and it's saying that's going to be a pressure point, we are going to really block on the word coffee. If I can anticipate that, or if it's already happening, doesn't matter. In both cases, this tool can be incredibly useful. So I might go and I might say, hi, I want a large coffee. Did you see what I did there? Instead of saying, I want a large coffee, I want a large coffee. Another example could be introducing yourself. So instead of forcing yourself to say, I'm Marcus, you could say, I'm Marcus, right? So what are we doing there? Why can this be effective? I'm not saying this is going to be 100% effective or that this is some magic cure. No, this is just a tool that you might find helpful, okay? The reason this HammerLink tool can really work well for people who struggle with stuttering is for two main reasons, in my view. The one is what you might call the adaptation effect. And then the other is the linking effect of sort of sneaking in the feared word through the back door. Okay, so let's break down both of those. What do I mean by the adaptation effect? Well, the adaptation effect, at least with regards to stuttering, is when there's a word that you struggle on, and then you say it fluently one time, and then if I ask you to repeat that word, let's say I struggled on my name and I said Marcus, and I struggled, but then right in the same breath after, I could be like Marcus, 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 Marcus. That's the adaptation effect. I adapted in the moment, and now I can just say it forever, right? So why does that matter, or how does that apply to this HammerLink tool? Well, in the case of saying, I want a large coffee, I want a large coffee. So we've already said the word large fluently in this hypothetical example. And so then what we're doing is we are sneaking in that feared word, the word that otherwise would have had this pressure over it, right? This hovering pressure. You know what I'm talking about. Like large, it's all, the pressure is completely concentrated on that word, coffee. So again, what this does, we go back one word. It can really work as that adaptation effect. We've already said large, so we're probably going to be able to say large again. And then we can sort of create this link where we think of large and coffee as just one big word. So instead of being like large, it's large coffee, right? So this can be an incredibly powerful tool for people who stutter. Now, there's something I want to point out here about how to use this tool, and more importantly, or more specifically, how to practice it. Now, of course, when you're alone, this is fairly simple and straightforward to practice. Like if you've watched my free workshop, which you can find that link in the description, then I have the hammer tool, that stop and restart tool, right? Where you stop and restart like that. And I show you in the workshop there how to do that while reading aloud, to practice that, to get your brain comfortable with that tool, with that technique. Well, if you want to just practice this, what I recommend you do, if you're in the workshop or if you're in one of my programs, maybe spend the next couple weeks, instead of doing the hammer tool in this vague way where you're just starting maybe the entire phrase or you're just doing different variations, maybe take the next couple weeks and use that hammer tool slot and only practice this one word back and linking it with the word right in front of it. So if I grab a book and I'm just reading and I say, I am not sure that this brief presentation, condensed as it is into a few pages. See, you're just practicing like that. Grab a book, any book, and then you build the comfort of using that tool. That's an important step because it can be really hard to just pull this out when you are speaking with other people. It's hard enough to use tools when you already practice them by yourself, and it's even harder to do that if you don't spend that time by yourself practicing. Now, the other thing I want to mention about practicing this tool is when you are trying to implement this or see if this is a good tool or not for you when speaking with other people, is start using it when you don't necessarily need to. That's a good way to just build some comfort with it in the first place. And then once you build that comfort, you can really start to access it when you really do need it, right? As I always say, practice the tools when you don't need them so that you can access them when you do need them. And so like tomorrow, maybe when you order your morning coffee or you order your lunch or you talk to your coworker or you talk to your wife, whatever it is, see if you can have a couple moments where you are consciously, on purpose, using this tool. And it's super simple and super easy in the sense that it doesn't sound weird or strange at all. Like if you're just asking, what do you want for breakfast? Nobody's gonna notice or care. It's not gonna sound weird, right? And so you can use it. And even in those types of cases, again, use it when you don't need them to get a feel for it. And then start to gain this perspective and this self-knowledge and this intuition about, okay, how can this fit into my overall approach to overcoming this stutter? So if you want to dive deeper into this topic of rising above stuttering, then I want to give you a gift. It is my Stop Stuttering workshop. As I mentioned before, I talk about the hammer tool in there. This is a more like a subtype of the hammer tool, right? It's a more specific version of it, but you can easily slot this in to the plan that I give you in the workshop. But yeah, if you want just a more holistic, an actual plan with a daily routine and everything else, then go watch and implement my free Stop Stuttering workshop. I will leave a link in the description below for that. All right. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.